though, they were to move. Like Denver and the other teamsters, he had wondered about the cargo, but he had not permitted it to trouble him. To Adam Rait, it was just a job, and he'd know what it was all about eventually. What interested him most was that he would get $500 in Yankee gold for assembling and bossing the wagon train, and in the spring of 1865, that was a lot of money. The son of a Tennessee farmer and his schoolteacher wife, he had done his share toward grubbing out a living from 80 hard rock acres until a fire had taken the lives of both his parents and cut him adrift. A job here and there, several years in Mexico, and then the war had come along, and he had joined with Nathan Forrest and his Confederate cavalry. 3 years later, he was a wounded captain in a Georgia hospital where they had dug an apple-sized chunk of shrapnel from his thigh. In June of 1864, limping, frustrated, and haunted by the recollection of men who had died under his command, seemingly for no purpose, he had wanted but one thing from the army: out. His request had been granted. More noise was coming from the freighter, dry thuds, clankings, the muted squeal of pulleys. Adam glanced to the sky. The overcast appeared to be breaking up. Hanover had better hurry. One of the horses blew gustily and stamped a newly shod foot. Trace chains rattled, and a teamster swore graphically. Toward Galveston, Rait could see more lights on the water, crawling slowly through the murk. Patrol boats, he guessed, venturing forth to investigate the sounds. He felt the sudden press of tension, but brushed it away. Kurt Hanover was capable of taking care of himself. Rait hadn't cared much for the man at their first meeting. They had come together in Huntsville, then a sort of junction point for several passenger and freight lines. Rait had found a job there after he had quit the army as an agent for one of the outfits. Agent, the title covered a broad range of duties. He was obliged not only to sell fares and look after the needs of passengers, along with the handling of freight shipments, but he served also as hostler, blacksmith, reserve driver, and occasionally shotgun messenger. About the only chores he didn't perform were those of cooking and cleaning stable. It was a poor existence for a man of his capabilities, but he didn't object or even really care. Lonely, deserted by purpose, scarred in mind by the things he had looked upon during the war, in body by actual conflict, it was the ideal prosaic world he had sought for, in which he could shoulder a minimum of responsibility. Kurt Hanover had come onto the scene some 3 months after Rait had established himself in Huntsville. Well-dressed in hard-to-get broadcloth, a cigar thrusting jauntily from the corner of his mouth, he had stepped from an eastbound coach one hot morning, hooked thumbs in his vest armholes, and glanced about in a sharp, perceptive manner. Adam noticed him as he led out the change team and began to back them into position. Sweat flanked the man's cheeks, and he had mentally observed that it was a hell of a hot day to go around dressed up like a schoolteacher playing Santa Claus. "You Rait?" the pilgrim had asked unexpectedly. Suspicious of the man, Adam had paused to take a second look. Another slicker aiming to give somebody a fast shuffle, he had decided. "Could be," he grunted. "Friend of yours told me to see you. I'm Hanover, Kurt Hanover." Adam resumed his hitching. "What friend?" "A major, name of Bowman, Missouri Cavalry." Again, Rait hesitated. Bowman had, at one time, been his commanding officer. There had been no particular rapport between them other than that existing between officers of different rank. He was surprised that Bowman even remembered him. "Why," he began, then became aware of the driver's impatient glare. "Be through here in a minute," he said. Hanover rocked on his heels, toyed with a heavy gold chain looped across his slight paunch. "Can you put me up for the night? Got a proposition to make you."